Okay, guys, I am still on break, but I thought it was important to return just for a brief moment, just to let you all know that I still am out there and I'm still fighting the good fight of truth. And I'm trying to be honest, and I'll keep this channel going as long as I feel like it needs to be going. And I've been recently experiencing Starfield, okay, and all the hype around it, and there's been Diablo 4, and there's been these other games, and the industry is completely rotten. It's completely rotten, and I'm informing you that if you're new to the industry and you've somehow tripped across this video, or if you're an OG fan, be careful out there, right? There's going to be a lot of games. There's going to be a lot of games that pop up in the future, near future. They're garbage. Be careful. We are living in a world where people that are working on Diablo 4, it's the very first game they've worked on. These are meant to be like prestigious games that you build up to work on, and they're giving them out to effectively whoever they feel like. Now, I want you to imagine a world where you've just finished your modern university. We all know what modern universities are teaching, and they're coming out of this institution, and they've been in this bubble of everyone be nice to each other and everyone be lovely and identify as this and that and your gender's this and that and yada yada yada. And then you come out and you get to work for Blizzard, and everybody at the company, they identify in their Twitter handles or their X handles as we now know, and they come out and they say things like, hey, Dr. Disrespect, we're not going to be giving you a key because of past controversies. We're talking about games companies like TC that thought, hey Z, I know you're growing a nice channel here and you could have been somebody that we worked with, but actually you just accidentally misgendered one of our employees that has just come out as a skunk. We're going to have to ban you. This is the world we live in, folks. We are dealing with a crapshoot of stuff going on, and no one's saying anything. I can say something because this channel ain't monetized. I don't give a crap. I'm just speaking how I feel. And it comes to Starfield, and how does it all tie in? Well, they're not letting Dr. Disrespect promote the game or anything like that, or giving him a copy because of past controversies. They're not giving out a copy to Worthaby. Now, if you know who Worthaby is, 305,000 subscribers on YouTube, one of the last bastions of good YouTube content. He's honest, he does the game, he plays the game, and he reviews it properly, and he's honest, and he's bloody brilliant. And if you take anything from this video, go and subscribe to Worthaby, because he can cover way more games than I can cover, and he's fantastic in how he words things. And what Starfield is somebody that's come fresh out of uni or whatever, and they're starting to work on this game, and the only thing they've experienced is probably playing video games since the age of 10, then they go into school system, then they come out of university, and then they start working on these games, and they're in these bubbles. And what games have been decent that have come out in the past 10 years? Because you're going to be like age 10, you get to uni, you come out of uni, age 20, whatever, right? And you come out, and it's junk. They've been playing junk the whole life. They have no idea about the industry, and they produce junk. This Starfield game, guys, this Starfield game is classic modern gaming, right? I'm going to read you what he had to say in his comments, and this sums it up brilliantly. Starfield will certainly appeal to shooters that want a casual experience without all that role-playing stuff like piloting your ship and walking around spaceships. But this game is meant to be a space RPG, and even touts games like Skyrim and Fallout. Starfield is disjointed, a game I've never felt part of story or worlds. I found myself running around barren planets with a scanner, with random creatures scurrying about, but what are they even living off? There's only rocks here and I can't go out and discover things. 2 seconds later, I press a scan button and I'm able to jump back to the other side of the galaxy, standing on concrete where 2 seconds ago I was stood in an alien dusty world. Why do I even have a ship? You can choose not to fast travel, but why would you? And even if you do fast travel, by the way, it's a load screen. And even if you don't fast travel in times, like when you go to the train station, the train's always there. that's still a load screen, even though you've made your way to the train station. He says, I found the decision-making poor, the dialogue poor, and a lot of the stuff that even if you choose X, it's completely irrelevant to how things happen. The characters are very cliched in what they say during combat. It's cringeworthy. Especially when your companion, who sounds like an Oxford uni grad, says, I will own you, in a soft-spoken voice in the middle of a firefight. I would shoot her myself, but I needed to carry my loot, were his own words. He said, I know one person who is very happy, Sean Murray. And that's the guy that made No Man's Sky, and he's been building this game and building it and building it. And he said he was playing Starfield, and he could only look at streams and look at his girlfriend playing on the other monitor, and could see her seamlessly flying from space to space and atmosphere to atmosphere and getting off and do-do-do. And he was just jealous. He was jealous of it all. And the thing is, right, these games are like coming out at 85 quid. And the reason I'm talking about this, and the reason why it irritates me, is because you're coming out, right? You're coming out with a game that's £85, and you're saying we're only going to give the copies to people that we think will give us good reviews, which is disgusting, right? On top of that, there's early access that you can buy. On top of the early access, there's early access that they gave to certain streamers that would obviously give a positive spin on things. They're known for not being critical. They're known for shilling. They're known for just jumping from game to game. And then of the early access, you got the early access where developer review copies were sent out to obviously like the most trusted people that were going to give not slated reviews, but they were going to give them at least a chance. They weren't going to be too brutal on them. The game's a disaster. The game's a disaster. What basically it is, and why it's frustrating, is if you've played Morrowind, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, these games, you're Oblivions, right? What it is you're in the world. You load in, and you're just in the world, and it feels like you could walk from one end of the world to the other, and everyone's got a little story, and you're completely immersed, and for that hour or two, or those 4 or 5 hours that you play it, you're in that world. This game, as he describes it, and it's perfect, you're in a load of boxes. So it says, oh, you want to go to Maketha? Right, boom. You load in, and now you're in this box, and the box has got, someone's built a level. You're inside you're inside a facility. You can go and fight some pirates. You clear out the pirates. You can't do most of the stuff because you haven't put perks into the correct thing, because you didn't know you were going to need to lockpick this certain box. And then once you've cleared that area, you load into a different box, and then you load, and you're just going from box to box to box to box in this jointed fashion, and it never feels like you're in a world, let alone how limited things are in the game. And it's trash. Diablo 4, it's limited. They had Rod Ferguson, who we all know from Gears of War, loves to throw an LA party, loves to be all of this, put Terminators in the game, put this and that in the game, right? He had like Megan Fox doing like death readouts for when famous streamers died, and they were just like copy paste death things, such as, oh, the sorceress has died, ha ha ha, not even mentioning the streamer by name or anything, because it was just a copy paste job, right? And people lap it up, and then eventually the game dies. And this leads into my point of everybody these days is double dipping in the bullshit. So what they're doing, be careful of this, what they're doing is they're saying, oh, this game's brilliant, this is going to be the next big thing, this is going to be amazing, buy it, buy it, buy it, whether it be Diablo, whether it be Starfield, whether it be whatever game it is, right? Buy, it's brilliant. Then you end up in this bloody scenario where, because the person that's told you to buy it is such an immense shill, that they're already going off for the next game, right? They're already going to the next game. And what they'll say is this: oh, have you stopped playing Diablo? Yeah, well, Baldur's Gate's out, and I absolutely love Diablo, but this has got my fancy now. Like, I'm addicted to Diablo, but this has got my fancy now. And then when they're done with Baldur's Gate, hey, are you going to play Baldur's Gate anymore? No. I'm absolutely addicted to Starfield. It's so good. And then in a couple days' time, maybe a week's time, hey, are you not playing Starfield anymore? I thought you said it was brilliant. Yeah, I would do. I absolutely love it. But there's this other game that I absolutely love and I'm addicted to. And they parrot this shit out like they're addicted to it and they're loving it. They're not. There was a woman. There's two people that were like prime examples. There was someone that I knew personally in my real life who's gone on to be Omega Shill. Omega Shill worked with all the big companies, right? And this person, it's like one day they're the biggest Fortnite fan. They're doing a custom map with a hashtag ad, and Fortnite's the greatest thing ever. And they're loving it, and they're pushing it to all their fans, and all the fans are on Fortnite. And then the next day, you'll see them playing Diablo 4. They'll be dressed up, full Diablo cosplay. Today I'm going to be a sorceress, and they'll all be like glamorous and everything. And then they suddenly stop playing that. And then the next day they're at a Payday 3 event. And they're at a Payday 3 event, and suddenly Payday 3 is the best thing since forever. And then they're at a Baldur's Gate thing, and it's the best thing since forever. And then they're at a Starfield thing, and Starfield is, wow, it's just consuming me. It's so brilliant. And they're fake. You can't, when you're consumed by your game, you're like when I got consumed like last month playing League of Legends. I for some reason I was just loving it, and I was just playing tons of League. I was playing tons and tons of League. I was loving it, and I didn't want to play anything else, and it was consuming me, and I was genuinely enjoying it. Right? These people say stuff like, "Oh, it's I'm addicted to it. It's brilliant," and then they're ditching the game. And what they're then doing is the double dip factor of they get to bring it all up, they pump up all the numbers. So for example, now there's probably hundreds of thousands of paid up shills raking in that hype for Starfield now. And then after they've finished their week's duty and they've milked what they can get out of it, they then move on to the next thing. And then they get to do the whole spiel of, oh my goodness, Starfield or Diablo's numbers have dropped from 500,000 to 36,000. It's a dead game. Yeah, it's got all these problems and this is why it's died. When actually, it always had those problems. You just didn't want to cover them. You just shilled up all the positivity as much as humanly possible. And then you got to double dip in when you all left and all the numbers tanked. You got to double dip in. Yeah, it must be bad. The numbers are down and everybody's left, and look at all these complaints. Let's watch these complaint videos and react to them. So they don't even have to come up with the critical thinking of being constructive. They don't have to worry about the algorithm never picking their channel up because they're negative, say like my channel used to be. Because what they can do is they can pump up all the positivity, and then they can just react to the negative videos and sort of pretend like that's how they felt all along, despite the fact they've just been shilling X game for X amount of weeks. So you'll have all these people in a couple of weeks' time, they'll start to talk about the downsides of Diablo 4, or they'll start to talk about the downsides of Starfield, or whatever it may be, and they'll pretend like they always held this view. But it's irrelevant if you held that view or not. You never voiced it. And you're in a position of power and a position of duty to give your fans the honest opinion so they're not pissing their money away. So like Starfield's 85 quid. I couldn't go on Starfield and pretend to be excited about it knowing that my reactions are going to cause somebody to buy the game when it's shit. Just wait 6 months, get it on Christmas sale. When it's 20, 30 quid, yeah, maybe. But right now, it's not worth it. It's the same for Diablo 4. Like, if you go back in time to my Diablo 4 video, I called it perfectly. They're going to hype it up, then it's going to die off, and then they're going to come out and they're going to claim that they always knew it would die off, and then they'll talk about why Path of Exile is better and all of this stuff, right? But it's not really their viewpoint. What they like to do is just double dip. They like to double dip in all the positivity and shilling, and then they like to jump on the bandwagon of negativity that they're in a way causing. Not because they're making the games bad, because the games are bad in general anyway, but what they're doing is they're artificially inflating every single new game that comes out by just being complete shills. You'll notice like every big streamer, content creator, they all just happen to be excited for Starfield. They'll just happen to be excited for Baldur's Gate. They'll just happen to be excited for Diablo 4, having never covered those types of games before on their channels, because they could sense, hey, this is picked up, this is mainstream, this is exciting, I can milk this one. That's what they're doing. And these shit games are getting massive purchase numbers because everyone's faking this excitement for it, even though they've got no excitement for it. I wasn't excited for Starfield because it didn't look anything like Morrowind or Oblivion, and that's the environment I like. If I'm going to play a space game, I'd rather play Star Citizen or something like No Man's Sky, where it's more about the space. And if I'm going to play like a choice-based game, I'd rather play like Fallout, right? This didn't really fit the niche for me. It looked okay, but it wasn't grabbing me. Whereas what they'll do, these people, is they'll just fake everything. So like I say, you'll see them #ad ready to play Diablo, ready to play Starfield, and they'll just be so excited. And the games that are coming out are so incredibly subpar, man. They're so incredibly subpar. Starfield looks like a game that came out in but it looks like a game, if I'm being honest, it looks like it came out in 2006. I would argue that the bloody Gears of War 1 campaign on PC looks better than this. It's you're talking about next generation games when it's full of loading screens, despite NVMe's been in every modern console and PC going and SSDs. You're talking about modern next generation experiences, and it looks trash. And you're going to say, oh, it's not about the game, it's not about the graphics. Well, it actually is when it comes to a point. When you're charging someone 85 quid and you've worked on it for how many years and it looks like dog shit, that does factor into it. It makes you feel like they've not cared about anything. Like some of the UI choices, like white screen with red letters all over it. It just looks dull. It looks fake. It looks lifeless. And it's really not. It's really not a good game. It's not a good looter shooter. Like, it's not got thousands of cool guns and combinations like, say, Borderlands. It's not the best choice game. To be honest, when I see this, I think to myself, this game is just Outer Wilds, or Outer Lands, I should say. Is it called Outer Lands or Outer Wilds? It was one of those games. The Outer Worlds, sorry, that was a brilliant game. Outer Wilds, and then you had, oh man, I'm forgetting the names. So someone will remind me. It was on Game Pass anyway, and it kind of just basically looks like that, but a little bit more hype. I mean, to me, to be honest, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 are better. It's just dated, obviously, at this point. It's not great. It's really not great. And I'm making this video just to put a voice out there, because I don't know about you. I am sick of these stupid fucking woke devs, mate. Just shutting people off, you know, like, oh, Doc, you can't have a key because of X and Y. You can have a key because you're going to toe the company line and shill it up. Look, if you think about this, right? If you were a game dev, right, and you've just built a game and you genuinely think it's a really good game, would you not want everybody to be reviewing it? Because you're like, holy shit, I can get Dr. Disrespect to do a full 1 hour review on his channel and I know he's going to like it because I've made a bloody good game. Yeah, this is a great opportunity, right? By siphoning off who gets the deals and who gets the airtime on events and show hosts and all of this, you know you're in for a bad ride. Again, those people that I know, the level of shill is outrageous. They will be playing every single game, beaming smiles like it's the best thing ever, and in 1 week's time they won't play the game again. It won't be on their Twitch list, it won't be on their YouTube videos. They'll have moved on, but they'll tell you it was a good game, and they'll tell you it was addicting and they had a fantastic time. They probably won't even complete the game, and then they'll just move on and be like, oh, I just had a really busy schedule, I just wanted to move on. If you were really, really enjoying the game, you bloody finish it. Look, the industry is completely rotten, and it's mainly why I dropped out of talking and playing these games and reviewing them, because honestly, it's more trash than not trash, and it got tiring even bothering thinking about what game's coming out, because it's just not that great. There's only a couple games that are interesting me to look forward to in the future, and that's Citizen Skyline, or whatever it's called, City Skylines 2, because that will be decent. Baldur's Gate and No Man's Sky to play co-op with my friends. Most of these games that are coming out are literally just I'm sorry to say it, mate. You might not like it. You might get offended by it. But it's pronoun devs just taking the piss, mate. And we're all expected to lap it up because we can't say anything critical, right? It's not Starfield. You've got to think about, we've had hundreds of years of games been built, right? From board games all the way up to computer games. It's got some okay customization of guns and ships. There's some okay missions and some fun weapons and abilities, but it's completely wrecked by loading screens. There's story. You have no sense of that you're in a big world. You know, graphics are shit. It's 85 quid, mate. You see the combat and you see the way people fly around. You're just going from place to place. It's bloody awful. It's, you know, you're shooting your gun and it's flat. It's not like there's crazy recoil, or it's not like realistic like Armor 3. And we are just in or I should say you guys, because I'm not buying these games anymore, but you guys are in an awful, awful industry, right? Be careful with your money, folks, because honestly, the level of games that are out there are ridiculous, and they're ridiculous in a bad way. And the people that are promoting them are next level shills. Everyone and their mother wants to be a TikTok, YouTube stream influencer, and they will do whatever it takes to get themselves known. And if that means, hey, I'm going to have to shill Star Citizen, Starfield for a week, they'll do it. They won't care. And they don't even have any shame, because they'll hype it up and stop playing it in a week, and they'll feel no shame that they did that. No shame. So I don't even know what this video is. It just bugged me. I've just been doing my own thing out and about, and it's been irking me because I've just been seeing so much bullshit, you know, and it doesn't need to be that way. There are good games out there like Vampire Survivors, right? There are experiences out there with games that can be good. But man, we, you know, or we, or you, or whatever you want to word it, have got to be smarter in recognizing these shills, because they need to be called out. They're doing it for monetary purposes. They have no interest in the game whatsoever. And by having a monetary self-interest at heart, they're selling you a shit product and artificially telling these devs, oh, your game's good because it sold loads of copies and it got loads of numbers, and therefore it was good. And then they'll ditch it, and you're left to pick up the pieces, because these guys, they'll make 60 quid back in 2 seconds of their big stream with donations. They'll make it back, right? But what will happen is they hype it all up. They get their millions from all the pre-orders. The streamers and influencers, they make their money off the first week. Maybe they laugh at how bad it is, or they hype it up. One of the two normally goes that way. And then everyone else slowly buys it, and they're left with this shit game, and the devs feel like they can't be bothered to fix it because they've got all their money now, and they're recouping their money, and they're in that period where they're not really wanting to do too much. They've just done the push, they've done the cram, the game's been released, and now they want to chill back. The shills have left, and you're there just picking up the pieces of this average game. There's very little that grabs my attention these days in terms of gaming. And yeah, I don't really know what this video is. I just felt like I just wanted to put something out there because it was just on my mind. It was bugging me. Like, man, it's crazy, like, to think that where we've come from. We've come from a period where, say, Total Biscuit was the main YouTube guy, and what he would do is he'd be like, nobody buy this game before I buy it. I'll give you a totally honest review of the game, and then you decide if you're going to pay for it. Whereas now, it's like everybody hypes it up. There's 6 different early access versions. The devs have got all of their money, whether before people have even installed the game. All the shills hype it up, they leave. All the devs have got their money, they don't give a fuck, and they let the title die. And then you've got the average people that maybe haven't looked into it too much, but have picked up on the excitement, purchase it, and get swept up. And it's just not a good place. It's not a good place. There's very few people that will actually go out of their way to not even be negative, but just be honest. Like, it's a joke. So I just figured, like, maybe I could just be one honest video on this whole thing, and if it saves one person going out and spending 85 quid when they probably can buy it for 30 quid at Christmas or whatever, or maybe it just makes them do a little bit more research before they go out and make their decision, then that's fine by me. But yeah, it's not good, is it, man? It's not good. And I certainly don't feel like I'm missing out on a lot right now. I guess like the video if you liked it, comment. Probably won't be another video till, I don't know, but I just had some spare time and I wanted to just talk.